Kind of response video to Armando, or left of center, and Great Tex Pyro, whoever else I want to include. I did make a couple of videos over the last couple of days that I just didn't think were good enough for posting, so maybe I'll throw in some clips from those if there's time. Probably won't be, because I'm going to say way too much again. So anyway, first on he's made the argument that there's no point in having a war over this, blah 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 blah. And I think it's whatever, however you wanted to define the context of war. You know, certainly the level of insults and the bullshit. I mean, the one starring of videos, the Senate, you know, the stock accounts with my image and, you know, insane person, all this other rhetoric they've used. Fuck that shit. I don't have to take that from anybody. So, you know, if it's a matter of respect, you were in the room. Who threw what first? I'm just not going to play that game. If you think I was respected, then fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't think I was, and I don't think the argument was respected, and that's the more important issue here. And the point of it is that that's why war is needed, because these people, and I'm going to put these like in a third category. You can be included if you like. You know, you have the phantasmagoricals, you have the people who have gods, you know, the old traditional bullshit gods. And then you have these phantasmagoricals who've somehow converted nature into God. And then you have this third group of fucktards like yourself who can't commit to any truth whatsoever. Can't commit to the fact that we know enough, we have enough information to draw conclusions about what life is. And so they have this ambiguous God that's in the future somewhere, you know, that's yet to be discovered. And, you know, the presumption that there's a reason we're here. Maybe, might be, could be, possibly might be. You know, they don't like nature, they don't like the traditional gods, but they're still holding out hope that we're something more than just addicted little fucktards. And that's just bullshit, because you know the truth. Great Tex concedes the truth, life is futile, blah, blah, blah. And so he builds a subjective reason to live. And he calls that a victory, and I call that just bullshit. Yeah, go ahead, Stepford wife yourself. No thank you. And the consequence of that Stepford wife mentality is that people like me, who see a real problem with this reality and don't want to be reliving it, okay, reliving in your, you know, where you don't change anything because you can never get past the A-B argument. And that's the point of this whole thing. You saw what happened in that room. Why this is important is because you cannot have conversation with these fucktards. All right? There's no argument to be had, because anytime you elevate the argument above A and B, all right, they will defeat it because they will call it subjective. And it's always to their convenience. So that's the other point here. You know, when it suits their purposes, they'll start throwing out words like we should, or they should, or it should. Okay, but as soon as it's not to their convenience, all of a sudden they're going to jump behind the subjectivity, you know, shield and say, no, it's all subjective. I don't have to hold to your argument or your standards or your logic, because I can defeat it all by just saying life is an illusion or some other kind of bullshit they pull out of their ass. All right, the other point I wanted to make is subjectivity is about a bias. That's why it's a negative word, okay? Yeah, and I'm going to say negative. It's not a good word is because subjectivity is unreliable. That's the whole point, right? Objectivity is reliable, subjectivity is unreliable. And what makes it unreliable are these associations we make. It's not the fact that we feel that corrupts our intelligence or corrupts us as individuals. It's not the fact that we feel. That's not a corruption in itself. It's the associations that are developed. And we know that we are conditioned into a lot of those things. That our exposure is narrow, and so that can create a bias because we don't have complete context or complete information. But the fact that we feel isn't the bias, all right? So acknowledging that fact, that's a piece of information. That's all that is. It's just a piece of information. Organisms feel. It's a fact, okay? They feel good and bad sensations, sensations that are pleasurable and painful. It's just a fact. Pain can easily be construed as a negative sensation, and pleasure can be construed as a positive sensation. It's a reasonable fact. There's no evidence in that equation, in that statement, of any bias, any conditioning, any cultural bias, any bias whatsoever. It's just a statement of the observable fact. And so it's as reliable as any other statement that can be made based on our senses. I mean, it's just as reliable as saying the Earth is so many miles in diameter, or any other fact that can be gleaned scientifically. because one could argue, one can defeat any of those facts with some presumption that it's all an illusion. Okay, but that's the only way pain couldn't be a reality, is that it have to be an illusion. It have to be something artificially created to fool us, that we've somehow been fooled by our own bodies into thinking this sensation was negative when it wasn't negative the whole time. It wasn't a horror or unpleasant or repulsive, that somehow we were deluded. And that would be the only argument. It would be just as preposterous in an argument to make as to say there's some force out there that's just playing monkey in the middle with us. But anyway, enough of the argument of the details of it. But I'm not going to argue methods and all this other crap. I'm a human being, so part of this is that, yeah, I demand a little bit of respect for me, okay, and I don't get it. And so fuck that shit. I present the arguments, I do the work, okay, they distort, pervert all of it, and then they whine about straw men, and they're just liars, flat out fucking liars. There's no other word for it. So fuck that shit. I don't have any obligation to these assholes to do anything but to show them to be fucking assholes. And that's going to get fucking hostile. Alright? But that's what it comes down to. So fuck this peace crap. It's not going to accomplish anything. And this is this does you imply that it doesn't make a difference. It's a tiny insignificant difference whether somebody concedes they have empathy or they acknowledge the existence of, like somehow those two things, I care or I understand, are somehow not meaningful distinctions. They're fucking meaningful distinctions, because you will never get to where we need to get philosophically as a culture, as a society, as a human race, if people are allowed to defeat arguments at the AB level. So I've made that point more than once. And so that's it. So yeah, so if there's time, clips of whatever during the week, some of them are kind of, maybe I just throw the funny ones in, like outtakes or something, but we'll see. There might be some real pearls in there to throw in. So anyway, enough talking. Thank you very much. Making here, our intellect is capable of being separated from our feelings. We can hate something, and yet we can understand it. We can understand that, oh wait a minute, it is this, this, and this. It's not, even though I hate it, I know I don't, that it has a qualitative value or some other thing. We're able to escape our subjective perceptions, our bigotries and our biases. It's just ludicrous to say we're not. We're intellectually capable of understanding the psychology our intellect is trapped in, and not to be completely controlled by it. I mean, the ideal circumstance is to have an intelligence that defines your desires, drives, and goals, and not to be controlled by the animal inside of you. But people can't even get that. But anyway, conceptually, you've got to be capable of understanding this. I mean, I can give you examples. Like math is a good example. Why, when you're doing math, you're not getting horny, and you're not getting nauseous. You're not having a sensual experience. No, you're doing an intellectual process. You're combining things in your brain that don't have anything to do with your emotions, not anything directly. If there's any connection, it's it is infinitesimal. It's really hard to get emotional about the number 5 or the number 7. And the same goes for when you're analyzing a theory or a proposition that somebody makes about how our reality is composed. You're not emoting on that. You're thinking. You're putting facts together and saying, well, does that make sense? Can it survive the rule of contradiction? Does it have substance? Is it real, meaningful? Is it a meaningful statement, and is it meaningfully proven through evidence? And that's the other argument here, is that what we're really arguing about is what is established beyond a reasonable doubt. What can a reasonable intelligence state as being part of the structure of the world it's living in? And to say that it can't do that it can't find a standard that's substantial and significant and apply that standard, and is just idiotic. There'd be absolutely no point in living if there. I've said it in the other video, but really, how is there any point in living if we can't? Not only can't we have the prospect of reaching the truth, but to concede that there is no truth? That it would be ludicrous. I said it in the last video. We can just grandfather ourselves out. I mean, because we're addicts, we're stuck with the addiction.
So let's live it out. Let's play our little game. But let's not impose it on another generation. Let's not perpetuate the madness. And if we are going to do that, let's just do it really. Just let's put some rules to the game. Let's try to do it as best we can. If we're going to put a new victim in the chair, let's just make sure the damn chair isn't sitting in a bucket of water with plugged into the wall and ready to, you know, blow their brains out. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Yeah, fucking neighbor has a fucking donkey. God damn, I want to fucking run that fucking thing over. But anyway. God damn it. It's only the only good thing about the shitty weather we've had is they don't have their goddamn pool open. Because they play their goddamn stereo way the fuck too goddamn loud. You got little kids running all over the fucking place. You got little fucking barky little fucking dogs. And you come outside and you want to sit in a nice peace. And all you can do is listen to their fucking shit come flying over the hillside. I mean, they gotta be a fucking quarter-mile away. Because people, volume control, people. Volume control.